Hands have been painted, sculpted, drawn, photographed, and filmed in many different ways for generations. I want to focus on the idea of hands because I've always found them interesting because they are so universal for so many different reasons. I wanted to ask some people a question about their own hands. My question was, what do your hands say about you?
Now, as long as I can remember, I've always been using my hands. Even when I was a child, I was knitting, sewing, doing all sorts of crafts. And then I always had the best handwriting in school, so I owed that to my hands. And then when I was 18, I started nursing. And I think my hands did lots of things to help people. When I held my first baby, my hands were like, oh, well, the favourite part of my anatomy anyway. It was so beautiful. I'm still keeping young by trying to create stuff by embroidery and sewing and all that sort of stuff and gardening. And so, yeah, my hands are, they are maybe the favourite part of my anatomy.
Mommy told me so. Oh, Mama told me. Mommy, what was it? Oh, Mama gone. What's the mommy?
So these hands were released to the world in 1996 when I clambered from my mother's womb into the into the world. My hands, I have bad circulation, so often my hands kind of stop working, especially during cold weather. So when I used to rugby train, I used to take like 40 minutes for the blood to come back into my fingers. It was that bad at some point. And ever since I started smoking, it kind of got worse. So you can see they're often quite pale. And my mum would always say I have my grandfather's hands, because you can see there's a kind of swelling at the joints here. My granny also had rheumatoid arthritis, so I'm kind of fearful of my hands, because I'm afraid my hands will fail me one day, especially because I make my money from playing music. So if my hands ever kind of stop working, it'd be a bit, if I ever start getting arthritis and it starts getting painful, it'd be more painful for me to play, which won't be great, The ends of my fingers, see the tips of my fingers on one hand are really calloused from playing guitar, so they're really rough, and the other hand is really soft. That's the one I used to pick with.
For a long time, I was very embarrassed of my hands. My hands were covered in eczema for most of my childhood and into my teenage years. People always used to make comments on them, and that damaged my self-esteem. I hated meeting new people or shaking their hands because their first impression of me would be, what's wrong with your hands? Now, having no eczema on my hands, I realise how important they are and what they do for me. They help me out a lot. I also have type 1 diabetes, and I have to use them every day to test my blood sugars. That does scar my fingers as well, and I'll always have them. But that's okay, because without them, my life would be a lot harder. They help me to make this film and to show people not to take their hands for granted, because they built the world around us.
My hands to me are really important. They hold everything I handle in life, whether it's physical objects or emotional, because when I get stressed I clench my hands and it helps me power through things. And then when I play my music, I also use my hands to create this emotional response within me and a beautiful sound. Also, my hands, I never wear rings or have nails on my hands, because I like the way that they're so plain and simplistic, that they're so naturally beautiful.
I'm a musician, so I've used them all my life since I was about 6 years of age, and I've met loads of friends through music, and I'm very I can do lots of creative things with my hands. I can crochet, I can knit. I've knitted for designers. I've set up a crochet business where I've sold my products. I've care in hands. I'm good at looking after people, and my hands. The only thing about my hands is now that I'm very self-conscious of my hands because they're kind of bony and wrinkly, and but I shouldn't be because my hands are I owe a lot to my hands, and they've given me a great life, and I love them really.
I think I take my hands for granted a lot. It's only that I'm now thinking about my hands that I realise what they actually do for me. My hands have been there for me through numerous all-nighters, trying to finish assignments, make coffee and smoke a stress-relieving fag. My hands have also carried me through extremely tough and anxiety-ridden times. When I feel stressed or like scared, I bite my nails, which comes just naturally to me now. This has kind of caused me to really not like my hands or nails because they just look very unfeminine and short and jagged. But even though I dislike them in a way, I also understand that they have carried me through a lot, and that I use them every day for things that I don't even really acknowledge are great, but I probably should like them a bit more.
They are very painful, and my children drive me mad. I love them. My hands. More than my children. What else can I say?
I asked the question, what do your hands say about you? Because I wanted to see what people thought of themselves through their hands and the experiences that they have gone through. I think people carry themselves through their hands, whether it's a 2-year-old child with her whole world focusing on her mother and her whole life ahead of her, or to an 84-year-old woman discussing her life through holding her first child and creating art. Each hand is different in this film, whether it's a mark or a freckle or short nails. Some of the people I've interviewed has lost someone very close to them, a mother to cancer, a friend to suicide, a friend to sudden death, and a father to cancer. Each person uses their hands to cope, whether it's playing guitar, biting nails, using hands to feel music, or using their hands to help with their disease. We use our hands for almost everything we do, regardless of any imperfections about them. I wanted to inspire people to think about how lucky we are to be born with these amazing, unique, and expressive pieces of anatomy.